All right, so thank you everyone for joining the Boston Office 365 user group with us tonight. My name is Dimitri, I'm one of the organizers, and along with me we have Dave and Bill, who has not yet joined us tonight. So from an agenda perspective, we will cover updates that have been announced by the Microsoft world in the last 30 days or so. We do not have a sponsor highlight tonight, but we do have a featured speaker, and then we have some closeout slides towards the very end. So in case you missed the session last time, Stacy gave us a great presentation on Copilot readiness. We are still working to get that one up on YouTube, but that should be there fairly soon. So updates since last time. And of course, we can't cover all of the updates. We'd be here all night. But some of the key ones that we've pulled out and we think might be of use. So the first thing is that Microsoft has announced that new threaded conversations are coming as an option for channel conversations. And in doing so, we'll be able to have just threaded chats. And this is a channel by channel setting that you can adjust. And the other cool feature of this update is that you could also follow threads. So if you have different channels across different projects or work groups that you want to keep an eye on, you'll have one place that you can keep on top of whatever is important to you. So this is rolling out now. It should be rolled out into everyone's tenant by the end of next month. The next is the ability to now delegate who can control the screen in town halls. And this will give you the ability to essentially give the meeting runner or co-presenter or somebody that is not the one in front doing the presentation, the ability to start the screen, start the meeting, decide which different inputs are coming onto the screen, and ultimately, act as the moderator, kick people out, and so forth. So for those that haven't heard yet, Project for the Web is going away, and Microsoft has been merging it with the Microsoft Planner um, code base. And part of this announcement is that Microsoft is now going to be putting up redirects and splash screens. If you do have some of the old links bookmarked, starting in early August, we're now going to see users being redirected over into the Planner for the Web experience as opposed to Project for the Web. There are a few changes, so if you have some things pinned or shortcutted, there are some gaps that exist between this new transition. We're sure Microsoft will at some point bring it up to feature parity. But the big one here is that importing Microsoft project files is not going to be available. But in the future, they might look for different ways to be able to do so.
Dimitri, have you heard if that's going to also end up having a licensing cost? Planner, when it was first released, was come with. So I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to go with that. Have you heard
Yeah,
anything on the grapevine?
great question. So they will be following the same licensing as you had previously. So if you want that project plan functionality where you have dependencies between tasks and so forth, you need that Plan 1 license. And then if you want Copilot available with your project plans and additional, that would be the Plan 3 license. So in other words, nothing's changing. Your free planner license that's included in most bundles remains as is from that feature set perspective. But if you want the project for the web functionality, you'll need the equivalent license that you've had before. To make things a little more confusing is that depending on which Microsoft documentation you look at, there's Planner Basic and Planner Premium. Basic being the free one, Planner being the more premium one. But Planner Premium actually has two different SKUs below it depending on what functionality you need. I'm sure it'll be cleaned up in some time. So moving forward, I think this is actually a very interesting update. So Microsoft is now introducing the Copilot chat right into the Office applications, where you no longer will need the Microsoft 365 Copilot license if you're going to be interacting with your content the same way that you're able to do so today in the browser. Meaning you're not going to be able to go and reach out to, build meeting transcripts or refer to data within your organization as part of this feature, just like you can if you don't have a Copilot for 365 license today. But now instead of having that web interface that was just like ChatGPT as your only option, now that same experience will be coming into the Office apps. So as you can see to the right here, this is a screenshot of a user that does not have an M365 Copilot license, but they're able to still do things within the context of the document itself, things like summarize things, give ideas, make it more concise. Whereas if you had the full Copilot license, you can also have it refer to other files, pull data in from your corporate data sets, and do a lot more on that side. Copilot pages are now becoming a new file extension, and they're going to be treated pretty much like the loop files are treated today. So this is taking it away from the current backend storage that doesn't quite have the same level of data labeling and classification, and now makes it a standard file just like Copilot agents are. And to the right, we have the icon that Microsoft has announced for this new file extension. If you're on iOS, you can now use the Copilot app to have conversations using your voice in real time. So this new feature is coming to iOS, and hopefully will be coming to other platforms soon. There's another new feature being released for Copilot for PowerPoint, where you can now reference a specific meeting and it will build a presentation based on that meeting. So it will take into account the transcripts, the summaries, the content that was presented, and help you build a summary presentation. There's also a new feature where you can upload your custom dictionaries, so that as Microsoft is transcribing your meetings, they know what your corporate lingo and terminologies are across the board. So this will make it just for a more concise transcription and summarization. Unfortunately, they are not using the Microsoft metadata system or store rather. This is a standalone process for the time being. There's a new API becoming available to be able to extract Copilot interactions. So Microsoft understands that there's third-party security and compliance applications that might need to monitor and in the future block certain sensitive data from being used with AI agents in general. So this is now being rolled out into target release, and this will give you basically the ability to go in, pull out what conversations were had, and what kind of data was accessed to generate the responses. Microsoft Stream and Clipchamp are being rebranded. I think this is probably the third or fourth time we're seeing Stream or O365 Video or others being renamed. But essentially, the new platform is going to be called Clipchamp, and this is going to be the one unified place where you'll be able to get your videos, create videos, add overlays, and have your admin controls in place. Last but not least, for updates, is that Microsoft is changing how they're handling external users in SharePoint. I think this has been announced at the end of last year, and I think this is going to impact directly most of our clients. Our tenant was also part of the impact. Microsoft had a really complicated story with external sharing, and initially in the earlier SharePoint days, it was based on what SharePoint external users and definitions were. Over time, there became more complicated workflows because users could be added through Azure B2B, in which case they were invited as guests on the Azure side, and they appeared as internal users on the SharePoint side. And then there was other shareable links. So the whole complexity there made it very difficult to govern or predict which authentication path an external user will face. So to simplify all of this, Microsoft has been moving all of this over into Entra B2B. However, they're now starting to enforce this, and as of July 1st, users that have external invitations into SharePoint sites will no longer be able to access it that way. They'll need to be re-invited using the Azure process. In order to enable this, you also have to use PowerShell to set a flag in your tenant that signifies you wish to use this B2B functionality for SharePoint external sharing. So that being said, I want to thank our platinum sponsor, Turn Digital, for helping us pay the bills and keep the user group running. And that being said, we want to turn it over to our main event, which is going to be a great presentation on using Office to help and build in tutorials to level up your Office skills with Amber Bell. So Amber, over to you.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know when you can see.
Looks good.
Perfect. Okay. And I will go ahead and bring up the presentation, and I'll tell you a little bit about me. Here we go. Okay. So let's hit the little button. Everything's in the way now from Teams. Go away, Teams. Make sure I don't exit it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Everybody can see it and hear me okay? Oh, wait, I'm muted, aren't I?
Nope, we can hear you.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
I was like, oh no, I had muted during another part, so I was like, okay. So a little bit about me. My name's Amber Bell. I am a Microsoft MVP for AI ERP is what I'm under, but that's because Dynamics GP is kind of under that umbrella for now. I've worked with Dynamics GP for over 20 years and longer than that, using Office along with that. So I've picked up a lot of fun Office skills over the years. If you are interested in anything, you can always reach out or have questions. Everything I do is under Training Dynamo. So you can always reach out to my website or socials and all of that. I always use this picture when I do training because I've been doing training in GP since 1999. So I always show a picture of me when I first started working with GP. This is when I started with Office as well. So that's me back in the day. So, okay. First thing about this presentation that we're going to do, we're going to be using Microsoft Office programs with the Welcome to files, so we can learn some features and like advanced features. So Excel and Word and all that kind of stuff. One thing I'll tell you about this presentation that's kind of fun is that I literally used Copilot to build this whole presentation except for the slide with me on it. So the rest of this presentation literally went into PowerPoint, and I said, can you make a presentation that talks about how we can use the Welcome to files as tutorials to learn Office, Excel, and Word. So it did it for me. So this is literally, and I then I said, can you make a slide to say that you're the one who did these slides for me? So images, all of it. If you see anything that doesn't make any sense, we can blame Copilot. If you see anything that's super awesome, you can blame Copilot, but it was a cool way for me to really dive into that. I just recently added the Copilot like full add-on license to my Office 365, and I'm loving it. I've been using it quite a bit. I used it to do a quote for a client yesterday in Word, and it just put it all together. This was my first presentation using Copilot, and it's pretty crazy that we can do this kind of stuff. So welcome to Now We Use Copilot, and now we use lots of AI. It's really fun. So today what we're going to do is talk about some things with Office programs, basic features in Excel and Word, some advanced features, and then also how we can use Copilot to enhance our skills even more. So introduction to Microsoft Office programs. So these are the different, some of the tools that we know we have in the Office suite: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. So again, freaks me out. Copilot wrote everything for me, but basically we all know what Word is. We can do document creation, editing, formatting, and it's essential for written communication. Excel does data analysis and spreadsheets and charts and formulas. By the way, I will forward this PowerPoint over to your user group. So if you guys want to take a look at it, it will be available if it'll help you at all, but also just because it's kind of cool that it was done through Copilot. Copilot does have add-ons for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and OneNote. So I haven't tried a couple of those yet, but it's kind of fun to start to use them. Okay. So the Welcome to files. So the Welcome to files, they're an introduction to Office applications, and they're going to show key features and functions. And the reason I bring this up is I have had clients that I'm training that just pass by and don't even notice that these exist. So I'm going to show you how to get to them, and we're going to go through a little bit on each of them just to show how they work. So let's go ahead and open this up. We're going to open up Word, and we're going to go to over here where it's got this Welcome to Word. We're just going to click on that, and we're going to say Create. Okay. And I always have my little paragraph symbols on, so I'm going to turn that off, and we'll just minimize this for a second, then we'll go through it. Okay. So the home page for Excel and Word, that's going to be the layout, and it's going to have key features. This is also the home pages where you can make adjustments and get to where, like if we're on the home page file and then back on home, this is where we can open recent files. We can use different templates. You can find things. You can also get to your options and make changes in here. So if you're always just coming in and right away just clicking blank document, there's quite a lot that you can do from this page and getting it to more templates, creating first table of contents. There's a couple more of these tutorials that are built in. So let's go ahead and minimize and go back to here. Okay. And oh, they have it starting with Excel, so we'll do that one. Okay, so in Excel, we're going to go here and say, take a tour, welcome to Excel. And again, we're going to hit create. And you're going to see that if I click on this, just make this a little bigger. Just by doing that, I've got this workbook that opened that has 10 different tabs. So we're going to take a look at this and go, let's go. Okay, So it's going to say basically like, here are some ways to add numbers in Excel. Now, if you're yawning and going, I already know how to do that, you're going to have somebody that starts working that might not know how to do this. So it's going to go, okay, select the yellow cell under the amounts for fruit. Okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to set equals sum, and it's going to say D4 colon D7. Oh, wow, I just learned something. So you can see how that can, that would be something that if someone didn't know how to do that. Another way is we're going to go under the meat one, and we're just going to hit Alt and the equal sign, and we're going to go there. And I didn't realize you could do that. So now I just learned something. If you only add the numbers that are over 50, we're going to click the last cell, and we're going to type in a formula. So it's going to say sum if parentheses, and we'll go. I'm just going to select it. I won't type it. And then we're going to do a comma and put a quote, and we'll do greater 50 and end quote and parentheses, enter. Okay, so now you can see that if I didn't do that, down here at the bottom, we've got the sum. We can see it's 260. Extra credit, try to add a sum if but amounts that are less than 100. The result should be 160. So let's try if I learned anything. So we're going to say sum if parentheses, and we'll go here, and we're going to go comma, and we'll say less than, quote, and they want it to be 100, quote, and parentheses. Let's see. Oh, I messed it up. Okay, let's see if we can fix this. Get around there, and it's telling me I messed something up. What did I do? Not trying, la la la. Well, I didn't pass the test. We'll just hit escape up here. I'll fix it. So you can see basically if I want to, I could fix that, but I wanted to keep going on this, and I probably put a parenthesis or some kind of funky thing I was supposed to do. Again, down here, what this is going to do is show you what it's doing, how it's doing that sum, how we're adding, all of those things that are built into this tab. And then you can also use this to go right into links right to finding training online. And the reason, again, like I said, this is that when we're doing these, when I'm working with clients, I found so many of them don't realize they can get to this right from inside of Excel. So we're going to go, okay, let's do count how often a value occurs. So it's going to go through and it's going to show me how to use the count if function, which is really cool. Now we're going to go on to next step. So now we went to the fill section. So we're going to see again that we can learn how to use the fill. We can go on to here. We can drag that down, rest the cursor till it becomes a little cross, and then drag that down. And we're going to go here and just drag this down. And we're going to see that fills it up. Click the cell with the 200 and fill again, this time filling right. So we can go into here, this, and then we'll just drag it to fill right, and we can go there. So again, these are things that if you've used Excel for a long time, you may know these things, but it's worth going through. Even if you look at this and went, oh my goodness, I'm not going to spend time on this exercise. I already know how to do that one. Okay, we're going to do this, and now we're going to select fruit, and then rest your cursor on the lower corner, and then we're going to go here and double click. Okay, that's nice. That filled. That's really cool. Okay, let's go over here, rest in January. And then it'll become this. We can drag it over. We've got our month. And then also we can do some intervals. And with this, you have to pick the 2 cells, and it's going to find that pattern that we're doing and adding of 15 to each of those. So again, as you're doing these, what I like about this, and hopefully you're not all sleeping where you're at, is that as you are doing these, you could save this and come back to it. So if you hire somebody who's just newer to Office altogether, they're going to learn that. But they can get into doing some cool things with, okay, we're going to learn how to do some more. We're getting into more advanced things. So now we've got this where we go, we want this list and we want to split the cells. So we're going to go into here, and under the first name, we're just going to type Nancy, and then Andy, and then it's going to start thinking that we want just the first name. Oops, don't mess it up like I just did. Let's do it again. Now it thinks I don't want to do that. Okay, let's do one more. There we go. So what it's trying to guess like how I want to do the rest. And we can kind of get, let's see if it'll do it. Fill it in. Nope. Now it's saying it's January. Okay. Of course, I'm going to mess up on it on call, but we can see Control E for flash fill. Did you know you could do Control E? So let's do that. Control E, and there we go. So that went ahead and filled that in, and then we can try Control E and C. So now we see that that brought those down. I have seen times when I've worked with it where sometimes flash fill tries to do something bananas, but it does do some really cool stuff if it can see the pattern in what you're trying to do. You can also split cells based on delimiters. So again, if these are things that you already know how to do, that's awesome. But it's a really cool thing if people don't know how to do this. So we're going to drag to select these. And then on the data tab, we're going to just go under data. And we're going to say text to columns. Come here, little guy. There we go. And then over here, we're going to go to the delimiters. My mouse is not showing. Come on. I don't know why my little mouse isn't showing. Let's escape out of here. Okay. I don't know if it's because I'm sharing, but it's not I'm not seeing my mouse when I'm doing stuff, which makes things hard for me. Let's do this again. I have to just watch for the little shadow and then hope for the best. Let's see if I can get this to go. Honestly, the no mouse is making me crazy. And let's do... Yeah, I literally won't see my mouse. Let me just get out of this real quick. Yeah, when I come over here, my mouse, well, now it's working. Okay, that'll work better. So let's try this again. There we go. Oh, it was just being bananas. Okay, so we're going to go to next, and we'll use comma and next. And then we can save. And finally, inside the destination, we're going to type D32. And then we can click finish. And then we can go, do you want to, we'll just say sure. Okay, so then we can go in there. We've got that filled out. So again, as we are going through this, we've got these tutorials that are built in, and I can go through and go, well, you know what? I know how to do this. If I know how to do the splits, I can go in here and I can learn how to do, what's really cool is I can start to learn how to do more advanced features. So I can learn how to do the write, I can learn how to do how long I want to pull things from. So I can learn how to do a more advanced, even if maybe I only ever knew how to do the one that's just text to columns with the comma delimited. I'm going to advance my skills by learning how to do left, right, find, length, all of that.
Amber?
Yes.
This is Julie. Every week I have to do a report, and I have been doing text text formulas with left and then right and length minus find, and I knew that sometimes when I was copying stuff down, flash fill, I didn't know it was flash fill, but it would do some wacky stuff. So anyway, that's going to save me so much time, and I've been using Excel for 100 years. So thank you for that one.
That's good. You know, when you're doing this, sometimes I go, you guys are like an office user group. Everyone could be over there going, I know how to do all that. But there's some really, I just think the way that we can do this is just amazing. And the fact that you can go in here and learn this, and then again, going in and learning how to do it from like more information on the internet, we could do that as well. So if you went into here, you can learn, there's some tutorials, videos that are available. You can do, if you have Copilot now, and again, as was mentioned, it was cool news that they do have the Copilot now, even if you don't have the full license as a chat option coming. But I just think there's just some real cool stuff in here. So yay, even if it's just you, I'm really glad to know. I think it's awesome that we can do that kind of stuff. The next thing is that switch around data by transposing it. If you haven't used this before, we're just going to select and drag the rows from item to 20. So we're just going to grab both of those, and we're going to say Control C, click on the yellow cell, and then we're going to click the arrow under the paste button. So I'm just going to right click and go to paste, and we're going to go to paste special, and we're going to use the little transpose. Okay, so there we go. So that took that list and then moved that list into a better looking, table list. So we could do that. Dive down for more details, and you see how this, either if I go, I know how to do all of that, we could just go, no, we're going to come down here. Sometimes you don't want to copy and paste. In this case, you can use a formula to transpose. This is kind of tricky, so pay attention. So it gives me some stuff in here. To transpose the data, you'll need some blank cells. Since the data on the right has 6 columns, you'll need to select the opposite, do this by selecting the yellow cells. Okay, so we did that. Do this by that. So with those cells still selected, type the following. We're going to try this. You got to get to see me. Transpose parentheses the 33 colon H34 parentheses. I don't press enter. Okay. Control Shift Enter. Ta-da! That was really cool. So now you can see if we messed up, go back to one. And if you come back over here, you can see it did some fancy little googly gawks on the side that I didn't know you could do. But again, these are things that I have actually gone back to these every so often because honestly, they'll add newer features. They're adding things into here. They're linking to the most current videos, you know, more there'll be newer ones if there's newer features. So it'll go through and say array formula, blah, blah. It goes through all of this in here and how we can do that. Let's just kind of click through. Going through and sorting, we've got our sort A to Z. We can go back in, we can add a filter, we can do all of that. So let's go here, click on home. Let's say you want to do that. Click in the department column and home, and we'll go to sort filter. So let's go back to my home and under my sort filter, and we're just going to go sort A to Z. Okay, that's good. Sort December amounts from largest to smallest. So let's go into this and just go sort, and we want it to, oh, I think it was the opposite. They wanted it largest to smallest. Either way. Now you can filter the data so that only the bakery rows. So we're going to go click, press Control A. So we'll go Control A to select the whole thing. And then we're going to go into here and we're going to turn on the filter. So now you've got your filter turned on. Click OK. And only the bakery. So now we're going to go in here. So click this, and we're just going to grab this and just grab our bakery here. Click OK. So we've got our bakery that comes up in here. Let's go ahead and clear that. And you can see. So we can go here, sort by date or even color. I like the color one. I'll just do that. Sort by color. Some people don't realize they can do that. That one works really well, especially if you said you wanted it to be like if there was a duplicate. So like if I went in here and let's say I said, I'm just going to throw an extra thing in. Let's put Jackie in here again. If I went in here and said I want to do conditional formatting and we're going to highlight duplicates, that's a great way to then find it if you sort by color. So now you can do that as well. So there's cool ways to use a combination. I've, again, had people tell me they didn't realize they could sort by color, and that's a really cool way to do that. You can click on the filter. You can look for above average. You can also look for number filters in greater than. So like if I click on hotel and I do this, we can go into this and say, click the filter button and then the little arrow, and then let's say here, and we'll say above average. So then we've got that listed as well, which I didn't realize that was one too. Now we can get into our tables and we can do things in tables. Now, one thing to note is if you are going to be doing things with Copilot, from what I know, some of the coolest things you can do in Excel with Copilot work better or don't work unless they're in tables. So if you are having issues, that would be something where you might want to come to here and learn about how to do tables. Now, the thing with tables is you might go, oh, it's always a table. I've got my header here and I can do my filters and all of that. Until we make it a table, it's not going to read as a table. So as soon as we do that, I do have an add-on that's going to pop up and ask to name it. And I think that feature might be coming in Office, if not now, soon, that it'll auto-name the table or prompt you to name. So we're going to click inside of there and then we're going to hit Insert and we're going to go to Table. And now see this is my pop-up add-on from another MVP. And I'm just going to come in here and go Boston. And just call it Boston, so I know. Okay, so I've got my table in here. And now if I go in here, you have a table, which is a collection of cells, blah, 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 new rows. And if I come underneath here, we're going to say meat. And we're going to say pork. Let's make something up. So I can come in and start filling that in. And you can see that it put that this little blue, I can't point it so well, but there's a little blue corner. That's where the table ends. I could drag that further down, and you can see that here. It says resize by using that little handle. Notice there's 2 columns, and we can pull that over. So let's do it. Now I've got my January, February. So I've made my table bigger. If we add in calculated columns, those will autofill, which is really nice. And the nice thing about this is if you are working, this is just Amber bonus tips. If you are working with data that is coming like live Excel coming from an outside database. So for me, I'm going to just open up go on here. Just go into my see. And this is just GP stuff, but I just want to show you something. Even if you don't do GP, we're just going to come in here and go purchase. Let's just grab this one. Okay. So I've got thing on here. So we're going to go back and just start doing some things in here. So we could come into here and we can go and make another column, and I could go, and I can just fill in, let's say this, and we're going to say times 1.025. And then I can just fill this in, and that'll do the formula. If it is live, and because it's in a table, it will keep filling that formula further down. So again, if you have data connections that you can pull into Excel, those formulas and those fills work really well for that type of stuff as well. Okay, calculated columns in this. So we're going to go select the cell under total, and let's see there, and select the cell under total, and we're going to click on the cell under right here. Okay, and we're going to go Alt and equals, and then we're going to hit enter. So we've got that. The sum formula gets filled down, and then it should have filled it, but it didn't. We'll just go. I'll just fill it there. Double click it to fill. Come on, there we go. And I just double clicked it. I don't know why I didn't autofill. If you're typing over one of the cells, what happens? You see a green triangle, then click, you'll see Excel's watching out for you. Try typing over one of the cells in the column. Okay, so let's go in. Okay, so that's basically what it's trying to tell you is that it's an inconsistent, we broke the formula. So we can go ahead and say restore, and it'll put that back. Again, we can do things with tables, all that kind of stuff. We can go over here and do some drop-down lists, and we can do data validation, which is pretty cool. So drop-down lists, we can do that type of thing. Now, I can go through all of these. I just want to show you that those are available. I love drop-down lists in Excel. If you can do those, helps you when you're trying to create something. Instead of people having to type that all the time, it can ensure consistency. So if you haven't done data validation before, so we're going to do that. We only want 3 department names to be valid in each of the foods. Click and drag to select the yellow cells under department. So let's do this. Just grab these. And then on the data tabs, click. Oh, we have to click this. That's what I wanted to do. Select those, and then we're going to go under data, and we will go to data validation. And then we're going to say in the source box, we're going to say, we'll say this, and allow, we'll say list. Okay, source. And in here, you can type this. I could have also just selected, which they're going to say. They're showing you, I was going, why would I do this when I could just use a table? We're going to do it the way they told me, because they're teaching me way number 1, way number 2, and then a better way. So we'll go here and bakery, and we'll click OK. And then I can fill that. Let me see if I can do this. And now as I'm clicking in here, you'll see there's a little drop down, and I have that. But then it goes into here and it goes, we just taught you how to do this, but let's use this separate table. So we're going to come into here and column F, click a cell with the department meet, and then we're going to click Control T to make it a table. And we can name the table. So let's just name it, and we can go department. And what it's going to have us do is actually just select this. So we're going to grab this. Now, select all of the blank cells under department. And then we're going to go to data validation. Oh, underneath here. So yeah, so we can go underneath here and we can grab that list over there. But yeah, again, these are things like I could go through and do this with you, which is kind of a fun thing, but also just to get you excited about it. And I want to show you it in Word as well. So we can learn how to analyze. But what I like about this is you might be going, oh, I know how to do all of that. But now let's look at the one for formulas. So let's take a look here. If I look under formulas, you can go, oh, I know how to do average. Oh, that's easy. Min and max. Okay, maybe I don't know how to do that. Date and time. Oh, I want to figure out how many days until my birthday. I could do that. I can also figure out time functions. Oh, that's pretty cool. And it walks me through how to do that. Joining text and numbers. So this is going to go through and talk about this, that why it's not showing, it's going to show it as this weird thing, but how I could do that is to show it with formatting. If statements, if you didn't know how to do those. Again, learning how to do that. VLOOKUPs, really awesome. Conditional formatting for functions. We could do that as well using the function wizard, formula errors, and then they have learn more and they go into options for this. Now, let me pull up the last one that they have. Well, there might be more, but let's go ahead and do the one up here. We have pivot tables. If you haven't done those, again, this is just, now we've got 20 whole tabs of just walking me through, again, how to learn how to do pivot tables, pivot charts. And it's a tutorial that then you can keep track of. It opens it up in a new workbook. It's actually a template, so you could save it and you're not writing over it. So next time if you want to try it again or give it to someone else, it's a template so they could have a brand new fresh one that they could start with as well. Other one that's in here that I need to learn is actually, we're going to go into the Python in Excel. Okay, what is that? Well, let's see what this does and let's learn what Python in Excel is. So this is going through and going, what is Python? How does that work? And if you know how to do all of this stuff, next month you need to volunteer to be the person presenting, because there's some pretty crazy, amazing things you can do now with these parts of Excel that I just think are crazy that we can learn them using these different tutorials. Is that new for anybody that these tutorials are built in?
It is for me.
Yeah. So yeah, I just like I said, I think a lot of times we just get used to just coming in here and hitting, you know, our what we had last had open or blank workbook. But again, if you go in and take a look, some of them are, you know, just regular old templates, but these are the tutorials that are built in. And if I go into Word, let's take a look over here, and we're going to say File, and you can see we've got Welcome to Word, inserting our table of contents, and then you can see a couple things in here. So if we look at the Welcome to Word one, you can see here, okay, this is going to go through and blah, blah. Oh, okay, I didn't realize there's a word count. Let's just say, you know, you're new to Word. You didn't realize there's a word count as you go. There's this, you know, how do I save as? What does that do? Adding visuals and pictures. Oh, by adding formatting text, and it goes through all of these. Again, I've worked with people that just never come off of that home tab. They don't know what these other ones do. So just by walking them through and learning how to use them, they're just going to learn a lot of really cool things that are going to go in here. If we select a whole word, did we notice that it popped up? So let's select a word, and then that, I'm going to do that again. Then it pops up, it automatically is trying to do that. Now I've got a little Copilot little add-on in here, so I can do some cool stuff in there with Copilot as well. Different things with heading styles. Nice thing about using headings, it's going to go through and why is that a good idea and what that can do. We can do some instant makeovers with design and go through on the design, select themes. So let's try that. We're going to go to design, and then on themes, let's just go to here. And let's pick, my favorite color is green, so let's try green and see. And you can see that now all my underlines are green, and it's a little kind of a weird green. Let's try a different one. Is it the same? It's kind of, so you can go through and see what each of these look like and find one that looks nice. And if you use these, what they're trying to teach you with this is that instead of going through, and I don't know if you've done this, like I'm making a document, let's just make a brand new one. So, oh, by the way, if you don't do this, I love having the things I use most often by clicking here. I turn these on. I don't like to have to go file, new file, open file, this, file, that. I put the ones I use most often, including the option to attach to an email right here in my little quick access toolbar. So we're just going to make a new document. And in this document, we're going to, I'm just going to hit this. I'm going to hit F1. By the way, in Office products, F1 is going to be your help. I'm just going to come in and grab something. I want to read a little article. I'm just going to grab something that I'm not typing the whole thing. So we're just going to go. I have these things are too nice. I want something that's long. Okay. Okay. So again, if you grab this and we're going to paste this as I'm copying it. I'm just going to paste it as text so it looks kind of gross. So we're just going to paste it without any formatting. So if I paste this without any formatting, by the way, you notice when I first come into this, it does prompt me with Copilot. It can start writing things for me. But if I come in here and let's say that I wanted to say like introduction, and then let's just come over here and I go, okay, at this point, we're going to go insert and we'll do a page break and I'll say, getting started, something like this. Now I could come in here and I could go on each of these things. I could go in and go home and bold, and maybe I want them, I can go through and start making them look like headings. But watch what happens instead if I follow that tutorial and I start learning how to use, let's use my design and we'll pick a theme so it'll look nice. We'll pick green, my favorite. And we're going to go in here and go back to home and I'm going to make this a heading. So now if I make this a heading up here, now, if I go into this, what's nice about doing headings is that also will go into when we're doing, you'll see this little minimize. I could minimize down to that next section, so it makes little sections that can be minimized. It also lends itself for doing table of contents. It lends itself for doing lots of really cool things. So instead of me going through and going, oh, my favorite color is green, let me select this and let me make it green by using my little color and let me make it the right size. Set up the settings the way that you like them, and you can actually create your own style. If you're like, I'm very particular, I like this one particular font and this one particular color, you can set up your own and save it into there, save it as a template as well, so you can keep using that. But again, just figuring out like this is what they're telling you, learning how to use styles, learning how to use that just for fun, have a little more time. We can do find and replace. So let's try that. So we're going to say use Control H, Control plus H, and we're going to find what and replace. So we're going to say try it. And then we're going to go with replace with I tried it. And we're going to say replace all. All done, we made 13 replacements. So again, using that tutorial to learn tips that some of them, they're going to be like little like treasures mixed in with stuff you know how to do. They're going to be things that you just never tried doing before. And that's where these tutorials come in really handy. I'm going to go on to File again, and we're going to use Insert Your First Table of Contents and just hit Create again. And now we've got our Insert Our Table of Contents. And then we can go in here and kind of follow through. How do we do this? Hit enter after the first paragraph in this doc to get a new line. And then we're going to go to references table of contents. Okay, so let's just go here. And then we're going to go to references. And we're going to say select table of contents. Okay. And we're going to pick, I like this one, do that. So now you can see that it created that. Now how it created this, if we go through, is look at what, if we go back to that lesson, this is using heading 1. This next one, heading 1. And so if I come underneath here and I put another one and I say, let's just go underneath and make something else. Amber's bonus. Oops. So I'll just put a little sentence in for help. Now I'm going to take this, and what I'm going to do is just go here and make it a heading 2. And the reason I did that is then if I go back to my table of contents, you can see they already had some that were under 2. But if I come in here, I can update this. So we can go here and we'll update the table and we'll go update and do this. So now you see it added in my little bonus ones. So when you're in Word, learning to use the things that Microsoft likes for Excel and Microsoft likes for Word. So learning how to use, in both cases, we're talking about, formatting using things like I was going to say we use tables, but that's just table of contents. But in both cases, learning how to use these things that it recognizes. So it can recognize that you're talking about this being a heading and making it look nicer. It just makes it, don't spend time doing that manually. Like I used to do that. I would go through and then I'd format Painter and I'd go in and, start doing stuff. But now I'm not on this one. If we click on this, we could see escape. We can go and kind of messed it up. So if you're just using the, I'll show you what I mean. Let's just go in here and make this bold and red. If I take this and I use my format Painter, yeah, I'm going to make it look the same, but we're not getting anything that it's going to recognize. So if I do that for my headings, yeah, I can make it look nice and it looks just the exact same. But this, by using these headings, we're getting a lot more functionality. Okay. We're going to go back over into here, go back to here. And again, let's click on this and just double check. Okay, so we've got our table of contents. We've got our little tour. We're going to go ahead and make a new document just to show you. So we're going to go back and we'll just make a new document. Okay. So now I'm going to just show you something pretty cool that will work with using Copilot. That's pretty crazy. So let's just say, I always talk to it like it knows me, because when the machines take over, you want to be one of the people that's been nice to them. Help me write a how to document for creating we'll just say new template or MS Word. Thank you. You don't have to say thank you, but I'm just doing that. So now it's going to try to write that for me. So now we can see on here that automatically it's just going to go ahead and fill these things out. And again, it's going through and telling me different things that what this is doing. It blows my mind. It drives me a little crazy. It makes me a little crazy, but it's amazing that it can do this. I went in again with my PowerPoint, and that's my other presentation that I spent hours on. Now I can just go ahead and say, learn how to do this. So let me go through some of these slides because there's some cool stuff in there. So introduction to Excel, they have some stuff on the layout, basic functions, and familiarization. I can't even talk. But again, learning how to do functions, and I'm going to go back because I can't say that word. Basic user interface familiarization. I had to talk slower. Again, learning how to do different functions, charts and graphs, and explains why that's important. And then in Word, this is going to go through and what we're going to learn in editing and formatting and creating new documents and spell checks and layouts and formats and styles. And these are all things, again, that are going to be in those how-to documents that are just under the homepage. And again, how to manage and set up tables using styles and templates, using multimedia elements inside of your documents. Okay, and then we're going to go here, advanced features in Excel, working with pivot tables, using complex formulas, integrating with Python, so it kind of tells you what Python does. It's kind of a scary picture at the end. Again, Copilot wanted to put a kind of crazy lady that looks a little freaky to me, but hey, they went Python, let's be very literal and show you a lady with a Python. Let's go here, enhancing with Copilot. So inside of Office, you can add Copilot. It is an additional cost per user, but I'm going to tell you that I have just started using it, and I can't believe what it can do. So I am amazed by it, and I'm trying to show people just the ability of what you can do and what it can figure out is crazy. In the intro, it mentioned that I'll just show you this is kind of crazy. So it's connected with my Office license. I'll show you something from the other day. So I had it create a quote for me the other day. So this will save my chat. So let's look if we can find a history. If we kind of go in here. Conversations. There we go. Okay. So I had it do a quote for me, and I went through and just pasted what a client asked me for. So I put it in, and then it kind of started doing the quote. And then I said, oh, you didn't include training. So can you add that in there? And it put that in there. And then I said, okay, put this together, put the quote together. And the other thing it did was it read a couple of my emails to say, you have sent this kind of thing before, talking about workflows in different things that you've created in the past. So these are things that it found in my internal documents. It's not going to use your internal documents to train the co-pilot for everyone else. They're not going to get a thing that says Amber Bell made a workflow request document and this is the pricing. It's just for you, but that's where when you have the co-pilot license, it's using the rest of your data in your Office 365 environment to make things very, very custom. So again, I can come in and do some really, really cool things. So this is the things that it can do, and personalized learning. So we could say create tailored learning pathways and discover feature skill enhancement, all that kind of thing. So again, learning Office is just bananas what we can do now. Like that's an official term from Amber Bell. It's crazy what you can do. And the thing that you can do now is I've been using this Copilot for all kinds of things. Like today, I used it to create a SQL statement for a client where I wanted to figure out, like they wanted to have in GP tables, they wanted to have a sum of based on the customer's information, and then they wanted it to do by year. So I had to go through and then figured out why things were missing. And then I went through and said, you know what, I want to have it instead of as rows. Can you help me make it columns? And then it explained to me why I couldn't just have it automatically dynamically do the columns. I had to name them. And as I'm doing this, I can go through, copy this code, put it into SQL, test it out, and just basically create this, and then it'll tell me like what I did wrong. So when you're learning something nowadays, there's just so many ways for you to learn that are just, I mean, it blows my mind what we can do. But if you did not know that these are here, they're built in. This isn't a Copilot thing. They're just in, everybody has it in Word, and they're worth the time it takes to go through and just do the exercises, like just do them. Or when you hire someone, just say, do this. It's an awesome way for you to figure out some really cool features. So I don't know, I get excited about it because honestly, every time I go and show people those, I try a different one of the exercises and then I go, oh, I didn't realize I could do that. So hopefully it taught you guys something new. I'm just really excited to see it all coming together now with the option of enhancing what I know how to do with Copilot as well. So that's just bonus, but the built-ins are pretty awesome.
I think one of the things that are really cool about that, Amber,
Yeah.
is the fact that my team, even during my office hours,
Yeah.
are constantly being asked, do you have any tutorials on how to do this or to
Yeah.
do that? And the fact that I did not know, I'm like, well, you can go to Microsoft Learn, you could do.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
But this is really cool. This is definitely.
It's really cool, and especially too, like if you. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that this is definitely something I'm going to use
Yeah.
in the future, because it's like, oh, hello, built in, please.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get somebody to come in, and then and nowadays I have a client who they have someone on staff who is really using Google Sheets. So they've been doing Google Sheets forever. So their knowledge in Excel is more limited than, because they haven't been using Excel for a long time. So again, just pointing them to these tutorials and the fact that they can jump to what they want to learn. So learning, okay, I want to learn how to do conditional functions. Okay, let me go into here and put these into this and learn how to do that. Um, Also, like if somebody can look through this and go, for this report, I'm using all of these. Let me teach the person how to use this just using the tutorial, but then the real world example, I can show them like, don't mess with our don't mess with our report. You need to learn this feature so that you can, keep it running. But these are things that work really, really well with, just again, going in and learning how to do stuff. I have not even done very much yet at all with Copilot. So like I can come in and ask it questions. I have not done really much with Copilot at all. With Excel, like I've just started. I literally just got it about a week and a half ago that I started having Copilot. So if we go in and start doing stuff with it, there's just the ability of what we can learn how to do is amazing. I like the fact too that I'm very upfront. Like I have now learned a lot of Excel, just trial and error of using Copilot to write scripts for me. I've had other people help me with some of them, but just having it help me, and it tells you a lot. Like if you're like, one of the things I think is kind of cool. Let's just do this because I just want to show you something. Let's make a new one because I don't want to mess with that one. You can name them, by the way. I like to rename them so I know what it was for.
If you
But
could
if I,
reshare your screen again.
oh yeah, you can't just see my mind. Can't you see with my thing? Let's hit
I
share.
do have an overactive imagination, which is very dangerous.
Yeah. So again, what I was going to say is that if we come in here and I can say something like, what tables in Microsoft, I don't know all the other ones really well, but we'll say Microsoft Dynamics GP have information about vendor POs and receipts. And then I could just do this. So it'll go through and it's going to tell me information about this. So it's going to go through and tell me more information, and it's going to like pull that information together. So it's going to go through and then it's going to say, these are the tables. And then it'll go through and give me links to, again, things that I've authored. So it goes through and found things that I've done. And then it went through in Microsoft documentation as well. I've used it to then write a blog about something that I did. So like if I go back to this, I might take this one and I might go, can you write a fun, let's go there, a fun blog about how we created this report together, question mark. And I'll say include the lessons learned. Learn, and some of the mistakes we made along the way. And then just hit send, create. So let's see. Okay. So it's going to go through and start writing this out. Oh, ask for something else. Oh, I probably messed something up. Blah, blah, blah. I've done it a bunch of times on other ones. So yeah, so I did one like the other day. This is another thing I did where I was like, can you tell me the difference between Google Workspace and Microsoft Office? And then I could do this, can you write a blog about this? We'll see if it works. We'll see. There we go. See if that one will work. Sometimes I just did something funky. That other one, I did some other crazy stuff. But again, it's going to go through and do that. So taking advantage of this, I was able to do this for a long time without having the additional license. If you have a 365 regular and you're using the Edge browser, it's embedded into the Edge browser. So it's pretty crazy that you can do that. Yeah. I'm just amazed with what's available now. It just is bananas to me that you can do that kind of stuff. Do you guys, does anybody use the Copilot in the, like that's part of the add-on for Office now?
We do
every day.
Yeah, so yeah. Turn Digital does, obviously. Dimitri just said that. I work at Staples. We have approximately 510 licenses
Yeah.
in circulation currently, with senior leadership's actually saying, you know what, we seem to be getting our money's worth out of this.
Yeah.
They're looking at maybe investing possibly in another 50 licenses. It's
Yeah.
and they're literally doing it right. They're taking it one step at a time. They're not just going broadband.
Yeah.
They're actually going through each individual request, because each request they ask for a business case. What's the business
Yeah.
case? What are you trying to do? And it's been very useful.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that they've had to present the business case, it was kind of set in their mind before it even happened that my brain just stopped working. Basically, the long and the short of it is, because of the fact that they gave us the use case, what ended up happening is they wanted to use it and made sure they used it to prove that the use case or
Yeah.
business case. They're like, oh
Yeah.
man, they're watching.
Yeah, because then if they come back and go, well, thanks for the business case, but we looked at all your stuff, and definitely we can tell you're doing anything with it anymore. So yeah, and it's done some really, I mean, there's some really cool things you can do with it. But like I said, I think the big takeaway I wanted everyone to have today was there's just so many really cool, like just built-in tutorials that are inside of Office. That I think are just a great way for you to learn. One thing I want to show you real quick, just because I'll share again. It is something where sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't look great. So when I went into PowerPoint earlier and I said, build this, and this is a beautiful, wonderful, nice presentation. Well, the first try was terrible. And so this was the first one that it did. And you can't read it because it just did words on black and white, and it just did a bunch of different weird things. And I was like, this isn't like good. So I went through and I tried it a second time, and I started actually with, I did a new, I went back in here and I said create with Copilot. It started out blank. That was a better start because it didn't automatically have a template assigned. I wrote what I wanted it to have, and then it created it. So I was able to just go, okay, let's start simple with just a blank one and see what it looks like, and then we can make it fancy. So there's learning. That's the whole thing with AI is it's learning, and you're learning as you're going with it to know what you want to do. They have the option here to reference a file. I haven't even done that, but that's going to be amazing to go, hey, can you help me? I've got my financial report, or I've got my this report. Can you help me break it down to say what trends we've seen and like what we can do next quarter? There's some cool things that we can do that are just pretty crazy. It's bananas. Like I said, I just like, it blows my mind what we can do nowadays. And the fact that when I'm training, I have the option now to make sure everyone knows about those tutorials, but also make sure they know that they can continue to expand their knowledge with using Copilot as well. So, okay. Well, thank you guys for inviting me. This is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amber. This has been great.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. And I know you guys got some other stuff on the agenda. I've got to actually run out, but I'll probably watch the YouTube once it's all done. So thank you guys. And I'd love to present again another day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Have a great afternoon.
Take care.
Bye.
So that was great. I think a lot of great knowledge. And honestly, I didn't know there was so many built-in tutorials. I think that's great.
That kind of blew me away, to be honest with you, because I've been doing this for how long, and I didn't even know it existed.
So we do have an open call for speakers. So if you would like to share your knowledge, we'd love to have you. Please complete this form if you are interested, and we'd love to get you on the agenda. We are working diligently to fill out our calendar for the balance of the year, and we have some good conversations that are in the pipeline. So we don't have a confirmed speaker yet for July, but that is coming very shortly. As we spoke a little bit at the beginning of today's meeting, our new office space will not be ready by July 17th. We have the physical space, but the furniture, orders, and everything are taking some time. So we're going to keep the next one as a virtual meeting, and fingers crossed, if everything stays on time, we'll be able to meet in person starting August and onwards. In terms of upcoming community events, the two big ones on here are the Collab Days New England. So this is the rebrand of SharePoint Saturdays. And this will be this Friday, on a Friday this year, just like it was last year. For those that came out last year, it was a great event. I'd highly recommend checking this out. And the best part is that it's free. So no reason not to come out.
There's a rectangle in front of your slide that is blocking things.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. The other one is Microsoft Ignite. So this is going to be in San Francisco as a paid conference, but like past years, this will also be for free online. So if you're interested, definitely block out your calendar so that you can attend the sessions as they become available. Let's see. So moving forward, there's a variety of other community events and recurring calls and communities to be part of. Check out pmp.github.io to learn more about these other ones. And the list continues. And out of the other user groups in the area, I know the Granite State user group is picking back up. So if you live north of the city, definitely check them out. They're putting a lot of effort into remodernizing it and rebuilding that community right now. So has anyone run into any problems, or does anyone have any tips for complicated problems that they've solved?
Ooh, pick me.
Go ahead, Dave.
I don't know about everyone else, and the homepage of portal.office.com, I think personally, from my perspective, I understand Copilot is an extremely exciting time, but the complete layout of nothing but Copilot with a small icon for all the other apps of M365 is overkill, a little much, and actually not useful for the end user. I was kind of curious, Dimitri, from your perspective, what your thoughts on that were. For us, it's been nothing but a headache with people wondering where the apps went. And like there, a lot of them, like I said, we've got almost 15,000 information workers, but only 500 Copilot licenses. All of a sudden, Copilot is in the forefront. Confusion reigns supreme, and it's been kind of nightmare fuel.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of the same feedback from our clients, that it's just adding extra clicks to get to where you need to be. So I think that sentiment is shared across most organizations.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't just me being oh, that old guy is just being cranky because it's not the same thing. It's like,
yeah,
interesting.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or problems or tips?
I don't know if this is something you can help with, but I've noticed lately that whenever I sign up for an event of not just these ones, anything, and they let you download an ICS file, when I open it, it just opens up Outlook Online and sits there on the inbox. That's it. It doesn't open up the file. I can't figure out how to get it open any other way.
So I've had similar challenges where you double click on the file, the ICS file, and behind the scenes, Outlook is actually prompting you to whether or not you want to open this unknown file. And the challenge is that prompt doesn't actually come up to the forefront of your screen. So you have to actually click into Outlook, and only then will you see the 90s style dialog box saying, "Do you trust this file?"
Okay, thank you. I will check that out because I use the desktop app for Outlook, so it's odd that it just decides it's going to open Outlook Online.
Which
That
which
has changed.
desktop app, I should say, because
I
there's
don't
the
like
new
the-
one and the old one. So
I don't like the new one. I use the old one.
okay.
You
Okay.
and about 95% of the other end
Yeah.
users out there. It's not there yet. I understand where they're going with it, and like everything else, things do change, but it's a long way from actually happening. To be honest with you, I don't see parity as of yet.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yep, I think we would all agree with you here.
Well, the other thing I discovered with, speaking of old and new, is when and this could be just me, when I switched to the new Teams, and I went to the calendar and created an event, I wasn't able to add a Teams meeting to it. And so I switched back, and with the old Teams, there's a button. You can add a Teams meeting, which a lot of times is just quicker and easier than trying to do it on Zoom, which is the other thing we have. So I looked everywhere. I could not find any way. It just seems stupid that I couldn't find any way to create a Teams meeting. A Teams like online meeting, like what we're doing right now, in the Teams calendar. So I don't know if you've ever run into that.
So I think if you create an item in the Teams calendar, it default creates a Teams link to it.
It just
I
doesn't
will.
show it. It doesn't show it automatically.
Okay. I'll have to test that out. Because I don't hate the new Teams. I would do that, but what I've ended up doing is in my Outlook calendar, I create the meeting, I add the people, I put everything in, I save it, I send it, whatever. Then I switch over to the Teams calendar, open that one up, tell it that I wanted to use a Teams meeting, and then I have to resend it. So I will try it in the new Teams without getting all worked up about it, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Thank you.
Find an interesting test subject that doesn't mind having a laugh with you at work, and try sending them an invite and see what happens.
Okay.
All right. So thanks to all of our past sponsors as well. And I'll stop the recording at this stage.